Hello everybody, and welcome from whichever corner of the globe you hail from, and welcome to the UK Skype call under control. I am here with Peter and Pearce, and I shall commence by passing the microphone over to Peter, who promises to speak very clearly, concisely and understandably.
Hello everybody, me again. Right, fairly longish dream for once. Well, not long by Kevin's standards, but by mine possibly. Which I dreamt about a week ago. Takes part, at least to start with, in a large open countryside setting, rather like a big sort of a meadow really, sort of look well tended and mowed and all the rest of it, quite pleasant really. And there seemed to be various people dotted about here and there. And then I was suddenly aware of several seemingly aggressive, smallish animals running about. They were about the size of a medium-sized dog, like a Labrador or whatever, but more pig-like in general appearance, but with more pointed snouts and two small curly tusks. Suddenly one charged towards me. Aware of the fact that there was a woman near me, I stood in front of her and stuck out a leg to snout height, bearing a large army-style boot. Next thing I was aware of, another of the brutes charged towards me. Although in some kind of field, there were two or three of us dived behind what appeared to be a large wooden, rather convenient counter, the sort of thing they have in small shops, we used to have at one time, and we escaped attack that way. Walking around, I saw other such animals running about, seemingly after other people, and also a big cat padding along. It was 2 to 3 times the size of the typical family moggy, so not as big as, say, a lion or a tiger, but big enough to look very dangerous. It had a strangely coloured coat, kind of mottled or flecked, with bits of black, red, yellow and so on. Quite beautiful really. However, it took no notice of me and quietly walked on past me, some yards away. The scene then changed, and I was now seemed to be inside a bank, in the customer area in the lobby, and then I noticed this awful smell, which was getting worse and worse in the bank, and customers are obviously noticing it and were sort of dwindling away and going out. I next found myself in what appeared to be the manager's office, where the smell was absolutely horrendous. The manager himself was seated at his desk, but seemed totally oblivious to it. But I became aware somehow that there was a murdered, rotting corpse in a big cupboard in his office. I mentioned the smell, not saying anything about what I knew was causing it, and he just vaguely said something about contacting Rentokil to come and deal with it, as if it were some rodent problem. The scene changed again, and now I was in a bedroom. I seemed to be getting ready for bed actually, and realised that I was now a police officer of sort of middle rank, what we would call an inspector or some such. Then the voice of one of my men called up the stairs to the effect I was needed urgently. I fumbled about under the bed for my shoes, first finding and discarding my old paint-spattered ones I used in the garden, and that's really where the dream ended. I was sort of thinking about all this afterwards. It occurred to me that the strange animals perhaps suggested aliens, so they were certainly alien creatures to the modern-day UK, attacking us and making themselves at home. Seems I knew how to deal with them, if only by putting the boot in. The bank manager suggested the elite tried to divert attention to his murderous activities. Customers could be most of the rest of the world turning a blind eye or just not seeing what was going on, whereas I like to think I was aware enough to know. The shoes in the bedroom suggested, after hesitation, I had the determination and intent to get going and face what was coming. And if I can hand it over now to Dwayne, please, for his comments. Thank you.
Yes, hello, Peter and Kevin and Pearce. Yes, thank you. It's always fun to hear your experiences, Peter. And yeah, you're seeing it too. That's the open playing field, you might say, in the beginning, and then the banking thing. People are sensing what's going on. That's the smell. And as you went into the management office, that's the management of the system that's been created. It really stinks. Again, the business world is the distortion. It has nothing to do with the all-natural environment. Things are showing up. But, you know, again, people make decisions. You're seeing it, and then you're part, like the police officer or inspector. In other words, you're moving through your experience because just like an investigation or whatever, you're exploring. And so it goes on from there. You see it. It's very simply laid out. Yes, thank you. Go ahead. Is there anything else?
No, that's fine, thanks. Right, next dream is one of two extremely short ones, more the usual thing with me. This one was about a couple of weeks ago. Again, I was out in the field, and there were two or three, well, we call them ladybirds. I think you call them ladybugs in America, little red insects with black spots on the wings, flying around me. Then one of them suddenly changed into a duck, of all things, and promptly clamped its beak down on one of my fingers. I couldn't get it off. And that's all there was to that one. But it's very odd that the very next day I heard that some place, I can't remember where it was, it might have been Belgium or somewhere, where they suddenly rolled out the 5G, and immediately all the insects and birds are starting dropping from the sky and going mad, including ducks. So that seemed, I don't believe in coincidences, so that seemed rather interesting. Otherwise, I'm not really sure what it can actually signify.
Yeah, well, you can see that the animals of nature here, whatever, they're very aware and they're looking for help. And that's the whole idea. It's in a panic mode and they need help. And it's, you know, the human people here keep deciding things like it's a normal everyday occurrence. But the birds, the animals, etc., they see what's going on. They sense it. They know it's not good. So again, they're looking for help.
Right, well, possibly on the same theme, really. Another dream I had about a week more recently than that last one. Very little happened in it, but it's sort of on the same theme in a way. And I was outside somewhere, and this very tiny bat, about 2 inches wingspan, I should think, flew up to me and just settled on my right shoulder. I just felt this strange feeling towards it, and from it, it sat there for a while, and I walked around with it on my shoulder like a bloody parrot. So I don't know what that was about, but it sort of perhaps goes on from what you were just saying about the animals generally and perhaps seeking help.
Yes, very real. The environment here is, and even the environment, the earth, everything, it sees it. Very few people listen. And sometimes, you know, one of the fun little things is see a bee flying around you, instead of swatting it or chasing it away, life is saying just be, you know, that's the message. And so when you really look at what's going on here, you see that everything serves its purpose. And yes, certain things, you know, maybe you don't want ants in your house or flies or whatever. Sure, you know, this is understandable. But overall, there's a big panic session going on with these creatures because they see and they're experiencing, they're watching their friends die, and they came here to learn and go through the process while they're being destroyed at the same time because people keep agreeing to the system. They're too busy going to work and not paying attention or whatever else they're doing, chasing thrills. Yes, it's getting very, very real. And just like the virus, as people get more aware and become more aware, it's going to be amped up. And you see that it has been and it will continue to be so. So people have everybody has a big decision to make. And there's a few of us that are seeing it. But a lot of deciding to do. Yes, go ahead, Peter. Thank you.
All right. Well, the last one is actually one I had 2 or 3 months ago. I mean, sort of stopped piloting it for some reason. Perhaps now's the time to mention it. This concerned another driving dream. I was driving my car along, and I went into some unfamiliar entrance to what seemed to be a large industrial kind of park. And when I went into it, I sort of seemed to be into a very large, spacious kind of a quadrangle, walled all around by sort of factory units and things. One or two buses came in and went out amongst the other vehicles that were there. Then I found myself inside a large kind of factory there. They were only 2-storey buildings. On the upper floor, I noticed there were huge windows, and they appeared to be all steamed up. But somebody, or perhaps more than one person in fact, had written huge words and other scrawled things, mainly apparently directed at somebody's girlfriend whose birthday it apparently was. That's the end of that one, but I don't know quite what to make of that one. I say it was some time ago, so maybe it's already superseded by events, I don't know.
Well, as you look over it, again, the business world, it is the created factory is what it is. We're living on a factory planet. And so take that viewpoint, and you get other experiences or views as you go through this. But the world's just a big factory, isn't it? And the second level, which is kind of the real side, if the windows are steamed up, again, people aren't seeing out, are they? They because of all the things they're creating, they're not seeing behind the curtain. They're not seeing what else there is. They're just on level 1. And the second level, at least to start something for them, even when they get there, they can't see it because basically of all their attachments to the personal self here. So, it's a big journey. But yes, thank you for sharing, Peter. Thank you. That's great.
Okay, thanks. Well, that's probably about me for this time.
Hi, everyone. I've got 2 to share this week. I think they're a bit. I don't. The first one, I was with my dog, one of my dogs. I call him Jack, a big pug. But it was in the dream. It was a lot bigger, but it wasn't this week. This was it's going back a few weeks. But I was with Jack, and it was in some beautiful forest, some magical forest. It was gorgeous, and I was riding him he was really big, like he was a horse, but he wasn't a horse. He was just my dog. But I was because he was really big, and I was riding him like that. And then we come across this place in the forest, and we sat down and I picked some fruit. They had some fruit on this tree, this purple fruit, and that was it. Me and Jack just sat there eating this fruit, chilling out in this forest. That was cool. And then I had another one. It was just last night, and it started. I was flying. I was blasting through the sky like Superman. And then the next second, I was in space. Yeah. And then I come to a stop, and I was floating, looking about, thinking, looking at it all, and it was like space folded. It was well weird and strange, and it was folded and then I was stood in a corridor, if you know what I mean. It was I was in space, and then space had morphed into this corridor, and it was dead long, really long, and there was a lot of doors on it, but the first one I went through, I opened it, and I had a look in, and it was dinosaur world. There was all these dinosaurs all over the place, flying about, and there was a big swamp and a volcano, and there was these big dinosaurs, and there was the dinosaurs in the water, on the land, and there was flying, and one flew really close, really, really close. So I just shut the door, and then I walked on to the next one, and this one was proper weird. I walked through it, and it was just total black, just totally black. But I looked behind me because it was a bit spooky and a bit weird because there was no noise in there. There was no echo. There was nothing. But as I looked behind me for the door, it was gone. It was like I'd maybe fell. You know what I mean? It was like because when I looked, I was looking around everywhere for the door, and I couldn't see it. And then I looked up, and it was really, really high up. And then the next thing, I thought, I'm out of here. And I went and opened the door. And then the next one, it was stranger. It was different because it was like around the door. The two doors was like the first two doors that I went through was just like normal doors, like wood. But this was like it had steps up to it, and it was all lit. It was all like light, and like the space around it, like how it looked like space. It looked different. It looked more so, like it was all like maybe it was like there was galaxies there, and like it was like it looks cloudy and that. And you look at a picture of space, and it would look like that. But it wasn't a door. It was just like when I went to it, when I walked up the steps, because there was about 3 or 4 big steps, and they was all lit. It was all like lit up. And I went to what should be the door in the frame, and I pulled it out, and it was just like opening space open. It was like the door was space. It was like all black and stars, and I pulled it open, and it was all blue, like just like the sky. So I went in there, and then I just flying about, and I thought it was a spaceship because it was massive. It was far away, and I was flying like Superman. I fly like Superman. With a fist out in front of him at like warp speed. I was going like that, and like I thought it was a spaceship, and I thought I'm gonna go and see that spaceship, and it was like, but it looked like clad. And then when I got to it, it was clad. It was a big clad, but from the distance, from my view, it looked like it was a spaceship because of how all the light was coming off it and that, and it was shining. The clad, it was shaped like a big saucer. It was like shining. It was unbelievable. And then like I flew to it, and then I could see it was clad then, and the clad was just lit up. You know how they are when you got the sun behind them, when it just lit up like that. And I just flew into the clad. I heard, I just heard the U. I didn't hear New Year, but I just heard you. And and that was it. And then I woke up this morning singing the New Year, and that was it. That's what I wanted to share. Thank you, Kevin. Thank you, Dwayne.
Yes, thank you, Pearce. Cool.